Warp Core Breach, Episode 22, Incoming!
Captain, enemy ships decloaking off our port bow.
They're charging weapons!
Shields up, red alert!
They're firing!
Containment failure detected. Warp core breach imminent.
Welcome to Warp Core Breach, Episode 22. On this episode, Nick and David recap the events of the holiday break. The faction report drives a wedge into perma-cloak. Griffin recruits some rebels for an attack. The Holonovel lays the groundwork for a campaign. John builds yesterday's Enterprise. Dan previews TCW OP3. And then we all share our goals for 2016, as well as our triumphs from 2015.
Warning. Warp core breach detected.
I'm David Montgomery, and here's my co-host, the Jake to my Nog.
What exactly do you expect us to do with all these self-sealing stem bolts? I just want to go back to my writing.
Are you sure you're that Jake and not Jake from State Farm?
Or is it Jake and the Fat Man? Huh? That's dating me.
Yes. I don't even know the reference.
Ooh!
Yay for being under 30!
Well, at least you're not jailbait.
Yeah, that would be bad.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna call you old man. But that makes me the Jedzia to your Cisco, and I think we did that a few episodes ago.
Curzon?
That too. As you can tell, folks, we are still loopy and insane, and 2016 has not changed us one bit.
And being 2016, it's the 50th anniversary of Star Trek this year.
Woo! I would insert sound effects, but,
Aww.
Yeah, so we've had a couple of weeks since we last talked, at least on the show. What's been going on in Star Trek for you, Nick?
Well, having a bit of a break with the holiday, but did get together on Saturday during the New Year's Eve long weekend, and had Michelle and Clay over, and we played 2-on-1. I had 3 Klingon ships, they were 3 Klingon ships and a Federation, and we had it out, and I lost a ship, cleaned the clocks, and had a great time. But here's the thing. It's not like I'm just tooting my horn here, because the two of them actually grew as players. They've had time to work on new strategies. They were bolder. They did a lot more damage than they've done before. They were working together as a team, and I've got to keep up my game, because soon enough they're going to be taking me down even harder.
Yeah, I do understand that feeling. Just about every time I play with Natasha, I feel like she's learning more, and, I think all I have to do is point people to the booster tournament to show that she's a better player than I am.
Yeah. Yeah, and for the record, in that game, I only had one ship with no damage. One was completely blown out of the sky, and the other one was darn near death. They gave good.
You just gave better.
Well, that comes with experience, David. And that's something that they're getting more and more of.
You know what? When you're learning, it's all about small steps and what you can gain each time you play.
Yes. And the main thing is you learn more when you're losing than when you're winning. Because when you're winning, it's easy and things just kind of work. You're not actually gaining anything. Prestige doesn't count for anything in these situations, because it's fleeting.
Right.
But the lessons that you learn from those losses, those challenges, that's what makes you a better player.
Oh, hey, I still learn stuff in my losses, and I still learn stuff in close wins.
Oh, yeah.
But I got really complacent when I was winning games in blowout fashion. And then all of a sudden, people showed up with killer fleets, and I was like, wait a minute, I just went 1-2 in that tournament. What happened? And that was a good wake-up call.
Yeah.
And it was good. but you learn a lot. And I think it's a good adage to remember that we're never done learning.
Mm-hmm. I like a good slice of humble pie.
Yeah. There you go.
Sometimes I'll even go back for seconds.
Mm.
Pie. 3.14159.
Hey, that's my line.
Speaking of pie, aren't we getting another scout vessel coming soon in a future wave? The pie?
It's actually this wave.
Yeah.
Yes, along with the Valiant and the Kumari.
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to place my bets that the pie is the next preview we'll see, and it will be finished off with the Kumari.
Yeah, I'm willing to buy that.
Mm-hmm. I'm really looking forward to it. One of the fellows in the Facebook forums there mentioned is that we're having a whole slew of Romulan releases, one in every wave for like the next 5 or 6 waves.
Which is good and bad.
Yeah, we don't want to go too dilute, but hey, more diversity, bring it up. So hopefully we'll see some good cards in there, stuff to bring the balance back.
Yeah, I'm certainly glad to see Romulans, and don't get me wrong, I just wish we were seeing some Dominion or some Zindi sooner than we're getting it.
Founders!
Yeah.
I'm actually okay with the Zindi being a bit of a delay, because the concept of like an OP prize should be kind of like a leading thing, where it's like, oh, because I won this tournament, I get to experience this a little sooner, right?
Yeah, I guess my thing is, I can't really do anything with the Zindi yet.
Agreed, and that's the other side of the coin.
But, hey, I'm still happy to have it.
Mm-hmm. And it does look like WizKids is going to be giving the Zindi some support, so we are likely to actually see them as a playable faction.
Which is more than can be said of the Q Continuum.
Yeah, well, they're kind of their own thing. They don't really rely on anyone else. They just poke their heads in. It's like, hey, we're here.
How you doing?
Revere us. It's howdy doody time. No, I'm not that old.
You sure? I got a chance to start my Star Trek Attack Wing campaign.
Nice.
Which I'm codenaming Task Force Bravo.
Mm-hmm.
And the reasoning for that is, the premise to the campaign is a bunch of different ships from different factions coming together for a purpose bigger than themselves that they don't quite know what's going on yet.
Okay.
So essentially, an elite task force. And I don't want to give anything more away than that, because that's why the videos are up, or will be up on the Shipyard. The first one's up, more are coming. The first 3 games, which make up the prologue, have been filmed, and Robert Fletcher, who many people know from the community, was in town, and so he helped kick it off.
Brilliant.
He will not be continuing because he does not live in Modesto.
Oh.
But
he was your guest star.
Yes, things have been put into place where he can return should he be back in town.
Excellent.
And things are also in place where if people are in town, they can join the campaign for a time and then leave, and it's all good. So
excellent.
I like our setup, and Natasha's quite happy with things, and my buddy Craig will be joining in as a regular, and it's a good thing. It's a different way of exploring the game, and I think a lot of crazy things are going to happen with the builds and the shenanigans, but you know, I got to fly 5 Ferengi ships in the first mission, and I think half of them got destroyed before they ever got to shoot. But it was also fun to just play Ferengi for a little bit. And you know what? That's something different. And I enjoyed it.
Variety is the spice of life, and the spice must flow.
The campaign is all about having fun, and telling a story, and doing something different, and showcasing that this game is a method of telling story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was actually developing a bit of a campaign concept myself. I've got the structure for it. Now I just need to write the story.
Yeah. Well, and if you listen to the Holonovel, which is one of our segments, the gentleman who runs the segment talks a lot about building a campaign and how it is about finding a story and even using missions that come in these ship packs to just do it and giving it continuing stakes.
Yeah.
So you let the winner of a mission get a benefit in the next one, or you build in like a 6-mission campaign and you have the winner of each one get something at the end.
Yeah, that's what I came up with myself, is that the winner of each stage gains like either SP bonus or an extra slot and eventually an extra ship, things like that. So they start out with one ship, then they grow from there.
And those kinds of things are just fun.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It gets people engaged and invested in what's going on. So lots of good to be had, and it's all about, again, having fun and doing what you want to do. Coming up with crazy shenanigan rules. And, well, like I have exploding dice torpedoes, meaning if you roll a crit, you get to roll another die. And if that's a crit, keep going. And you get to keep the result. You can't modify the result, so if you end up rolling a blank, it's a blank. A battle station is set, and you might as well throw the die out. But if you get a hit, the hit adds to your roll.
Mm-hmm.
So torpedoes become a little bit better.
Yeah. Well, it's like the independent weapons upgrade.
Yeah, the like focused beam or something.
Focused particle beam.
Yeah, it's the one that came in the Gavroche.
Mm-hmm. Was it the Gavroche or was it the Valjean?
It was
Gavroche,
it was the
right.
booster. Yeah.
You're right.
But that you had to go 3 for 3.
Yeah.
And then you got more dice. So this is just, hey, if you're rolling a 5-die torpedo and you get 1 crit, you get 1 more die. Splash
damage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's thematic to what torpedoes could be, and I'd love to see WizKids adapt the rule.
Like, come on, it's a antimatter explosion. It's not something light and fluffy. We're not talking about tossing bunnies at your ship here. Sorry, John.
You just made me think of the Monty Python where they toss a cow in the catapult. What sound would a flying rabbit make as it was being hurled through space? It's a trick question. Yeah, there you go. Nothing, because it's through space.
I was about to answer you, and then you finished it off by saying it through space. It's like, oh.
Yes.
Mum's the word?
All right, we are
certainly
getting far too silly.
And off topic. Speaking of topic, a number of friends of mine have been checking out the new Hot Topic store that we've got, and they've got tons of nerdy t-shirts and stuff from like Doctor Who, Star Trek, all that kind of stuff. So it's been pretty neat. Seen a lot of cool results.
I'm glad to know that they actually have Star Trek stuff in there.
Yeah.
That's always a good thing. Oh, I should also note, my Board Game Geek Secret Santa was amazing and made it a Star Trek Christmas for me.
Woohoo!
I got the big Borg cube.
The new one?
No, the old one.
That's still pretty damn awesome. You've got Locutus on your team now.
I do. More so, I have a really cool model.
Yeah.
It's watching over me.
I have it on my top shelf right now. It's top shelf.
Yeah. It's so big.
And speaking of the new model, I seem to recall there was a custom mod a while back that had the socket for a sphere, and the one in not only the desktop preview, but also the commercial preview of it, it looks to be the exact same ship, so I'm wondering if it's connected in that way.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm certain that Borg cube that was on the WizKids spoiler picture is the one that we're getting in the summer.
Right.
Because now that is everything that has been announced.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Zindi weapon was on there as well.
Yeah.
All the Dice Masters product has come out, and I believe all the HeroClix product has come out. So it's cool stuff. I hope that they continue to do those kind of spoiler pictures and say, hey, this is the stuff that's coming.
Yes, I like spoilers.
I hope that the big Borg cube will be better than the old one.
Properly costed would be nice, and have actual card upgrade content. Please.
Yeah. If nothing else, I sure hope that the sphere is worthwhile.
Yes, that... Actually, I'd be interested to know if the sphere we were going to get as the the prize for, I guess it was QOP3.
Yeah.
If that's actually going to be the one we get with this cube. If it's going to be what they had planned for that, just merely delayed and given in with this.
That would make a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm. And it would stand to reason that we would get another Borg Queen because, hey, in the movie, that ship was the Queen's ship.
I almost wonder if they'll call it Queen's Borg Cube and Queen's Sphere.
Yeah, because we had, like, the Queen Vessel Prime, right?
Yeah, and then that gives them reason to make it more expensive and change stat lines.
Yes. They can throw some logic into that. It's all those Vulcans they assimilated.
Well, and that's what they did in the CCG, if I'm not wrong.
Correct.
Right? They had other Borg cubes and Borg spheres, but then they had the Queen Borg cube and the Queen Borg sphere.
Yeah, they had the Queen variants of all three ships, yeah.
Right, and those were just more expensive.
Correct.
And better stats.
Mm-hmm.
So, more slots, different things. That could be a fun way to do it.
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, who knows what they do, but...
I'm curious to see if they modify the maneuver dial to reflect the new Borg movement rules, or if they stick with the old school, and then just let the rules speak for it.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully they put in an updated rule card.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one thing is, like, have we seen Borg played much, if at all, since that? Like, as a significant faction? Like, I know the odd ship or the assimilated vessels have shown up, but I haven't seen a real significant Borg faction presence.
Will played him at Worlds to top 4.
Yeah, but that's old news at this point. I'm talking about since all that.
I mean, I've been running a Scout 608 to great success in a lot of my OPs. So.
Okay. But nothing significant as far as, like, the spheres, tactical cubes, or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, you're picking and choosing.
Mm-hmm. Not that the tactical cubes really saw too much, just given the points. And especially with 50-point suggested rules as well.
Yeah, once 50 came into play, the tactical cube kind of went away.
The way of the dodo.
Yeah, tactical cube was a lot of fun with flagship and making that your super ship.
Yeah. But that's where the attack cancellation usually came in, because quite often if you make a super tactical cube, you're not flying anything else.
Right. Or if you are, it was in a booster tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow, one other guy and myself both made flagship super tactical cubes with Battle Station Con on it.
Oh.
And I hadn't been at that venue for like 2 months, and we both thought the same thing. and we both kind of looked at each other and were like, how did you do that? and we had a knockout, drag-out fight, and there was some misunderstanding about the way that Borg ablative hull armor worked with shields and stuff.
Right.
And that caused the match to kind of go weird, but it was still fun.
Mm-hmm.
It was still a lot of fun. You know, those kinds of things are just crazy, and you're like, you don't want to face the mirror match.
No. It's like Link versus his evil self. The shadow
don't
self.
Don't get me started on that. Oh. So before we get any more off topic, let's toss it over to our contributors and hear what they have to say about life, the meaning of life. No, that's 42.
Infinite diversity and infinite combinations. Good evening, and welcome to the Faction Report. The segment that brings you the inside scoop on all the factions. We'll show you how they really work, expose their weaknesses, find innovative combinations, and help you make them work better. And now here's your host, the man who is not Picard, David Walton.
Hi everyone. Last time I spoke to you about how you could beat the Federation, and another build that requires a particular set of skills and a particular set of tactics to defeat is the Romulan perma-cloak build. Now, I'll first define what the perma-cloak build is. Either it's the scimitar, which can stay cloaked when it fires for the cost of an auxiliary power token, or they're running advanced cloaking on a number of ships. Now, advanced cloaking is essentially the scimitar's ability for 4 points and a tech slot. Tech slots are a little bit difficult to come by for Romulans, but there's quite a lot of ways that you can get them, so it's not unheard of to run 3 ships, all of which have either the Scimitar's ability, perma-cloaking through the advanced cloaking, or are a support ship like the Vo or the Romulan science vessel that are just never going to fire anyway, so are going to stay cloaked. Well, what problems does this present for an opponent? Well, the first problem it presents is it robs you of quite a lot of your quality, particularly if you're not one of those fleets that has battle stations. Battle stations is a fantastic ability. Battle stations is an ability that allows you to convert battle stations icons into hits. It gives you about 75% efficiency on an attack. Most of the time you want to have both battle stations and target lock, because that increases your dice efficiency above 90%. Most of the time you're going to get all hits. So yeah, battle stations works best with target lock. Now, some factions, Klingons, Borg, Romulans, some Dominion ships, only have target lock. They don't have battle stations too, which means their dice efficiency is significantly reduced. It's reduced even more if they're not able to get a target lock. And the reason the perma-cloak build is so good is because the perma-cloak build allows you to stay cloaked forever, and that reduces the chance of you getting a target lock. It's also something to bear in mind with upgrades like monotanium armor plating, which potentially gets rid of a target lock. So, some fleets that rely on target locks for efficiency are going to suffer against perma-cloak builds and builds that are running monotanium armor plating. So how do you get around that? Well, the first way of doing it is something that Dominion are particularly good at, and that is scan enhancers. Cards like Breenade or Anti-Proton Scan, any ability that allows you to use a scan token, which you will be able to use with Dominion, even if you haven't got the battle stations, and still give you some quality and still give you some efficiency, or extra firepower, certainly in the case of Anti-Proton Scan. Now, if you're looking to enhance your scanning particularly, one of the things that you can do is take the first officer resource. Now, it's almost retired, so maybe now is the chance to take it before it is retired, before it's out of the game. But that allows you to double up on scan tokens. So you could take a ship with both the Breenade and the Anti-Proton Scan, so you get an extra dice and you get the conversion from a blank to a hit. If you've got a scan token by your ship, you've got 2 scan tokens by, so you're reducing that cloaked ability quite a lot. If you're feeling particularly bold, you can also take a card like Science Officer, which is in the same resource pack. Now, Science Officer reduces the number of dice that your opponent is rolling even more. There are some rules that go with how many scan tokens you need in order to activate these, so check up on Wharf, ask your TO about how it works, because it's quite important to get that straight. But that's the Dominion's way. If they've not got access to target lock, but they want to do some other things against the perma-cloak fleet, that's one of the things they can do. Again, as with playing the Federation, another way that you can deal with the perma-cloak fleet is to hand out auxiliary power tokens all the time. Auxiliary power tokens make taking the auxiliary power token that you get from staying cloaked a little bit more difficult of a decision to make, because it robs you of those red maneuvers, it robs you of actions, and that is quite important for beating these kind of ships. There is an argument to be made that the best way to beat perma-cloaked fleets is to just ramp up your primary weapon value as much as possible and burn through that cloak, and that is a legitimate tactic, but it's perhaps not as skilled as doing some of these other things. Now, last thing I would say is, on this topic, there are a lot of cards in the game now that allow you to reroll your dice without having a target lock. Cards like Car allows you a reroll if you're targeting a captain with a lower captain skill than your own. Cards like Pavel Chekhov, who is a disable, to allow you to reroll your dice. Tactical Officer, the Klingon version, allows you to reroll your dice without having a target lock. So have a look into those cards, because if you're playing in a meta that has a lot of perma-cloak fleets, being able to reroll your dice, even though you've not got a target lock on them, renders their perma-cloak a little bit less useful. Your problem then, of course, is those perma-cloak fleets that decide not to cloak at all because they're worried about your quality in attacking them, because you've taken cards like Chekhov and Tactical Officer. So there you go, some ideas how to deal with perma-cloakers. Thanks very much for listening. I am not Picard.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the Holonovel after a little holiday break, and I'm Classic as always, and today we are going to talk about what might be my favorite aspect of the hobby altogether, and that is narrative campaigning. What is a narrative campaign? Well, at its core, it's mainly a string of scenarios that tells a storyline that is combined by a narrative, and each game that you play has an effect on the overall narrative and what is going on. You can make this more complicated, but at the core it's really just about that. As an example, I would like to talk about a narrative campaign that I ran for my friendly local game store. We did some promotional videos for the game, and the campaign was set in the Dominion War era. Of course, Star Trek has some very interesting timelines, some very interesting conflicts to draw from, but also, themes like, we are on a tour of duty of exploration and stuff like that. So those are elements that you can draw from. And again, we drew from the Dominion War. The first game was a 6-game campaign. Each scenario would have an effect on the final game, and whoever won the final game would win the campaign overall, which meant that even if one side were to lose all 5 prior scenarios, they still had a fighting chance to come out the winner, which did wonders for motivation, even though it would be an uphill struggle at that point, because of course whoever won more scenarios would have more positive effects. The first game that we played was the box standard Patrol the Badlands scenario that came with the Karaga. Basically it was that Dominion had attacked the Federation, and the Klingon allies were flying a recon mission. As for effect on the campaign, whoever won that scenario would gain initiative for the rest of the campaign. Of course, usually the Federation had the higher initiative order, so I basically had to defend it, but the Dominion had the opportunity to get that and to take that away from me. The second scenario was a completely custom-made one. It took place in one of the fleet engagements that the Federation lost early on, so we had a table filled with wreckage markers that I built from old miniatures and old micro machines. Well, there were very few which were just obstacles, and then there were some proper ships which acted like ships that you could not fire at, but you could bump into them, and each of them had 3 mission tokens on them. Those represented, resources that were still there, maybe surviving crew, stuff like that. And both sides wanted to salvage those mission tokens, wanted to harvest those resources. What would you do? You would fly into range one of the ships, and as an action, you could either do a beam action, lowering your shields and pulling over 2 mission tokens that were on that one wreck, or just use a scan action box standard and use that up, quote unquote, to just pull over 1 mission token. Beam action would get you resources theoretically, and the scan action would just get intel or downloading data from databanks. Whoever gained the most mission points, regardless of how many ships of each side were destroyed, at the end of the mission was declared the winner. Would Federation win, it would gain the high yield photon torpedo upgrade for free in every future games. If Dominion won, they would gain access to Federation tech and Federation secondary weapons, representing the salvage that they gathered, the ordnance that they gathered in the campaign. And again, there's a little imbalance there, because I feel the potential gain for the Dominion was much higher than for the Federation, but it's okay. In a narrative, you do not need to have perfect balance all the time. Sometimes being the underdog can be quite challenging, but also quite satisfying. Now the third game dealt with the Romulans. Of course, one of the pivotal points in the Dominion War was when the Romulans were unsure which side to join. And since we could not represent the political intrigue of the Under Pale Moonlight episode, one of my favorite Star Trek episodes of all times, we decided on something else. I put a number of cloud tokens, basically just pictures of nebulas and stuff that I'd cut out and laminated, onto the battlefield, representing, nebulas, dust clouds. And in one of those there was a Romulan warbird. It had sent a distress signal, something had gone wrong, as happens with Romulans. Both sides were to go into that field and to basically scout the different areas, the different cloud zones, to find the Romulan ship. Once the Romulan ship was found, whoever whoever had the most points within range 1 at the end of the game basically saved them, rescued them, and the Romulans would join their side, effectively turning the Romulans into part of their own faction. We were nearing the end of the campaign, and we had two things to deal with in the narrative. The first one was Jin Toka. Whoever took Jin Toka in the series shortly after would control Deep Space Nine. And we already knew that the final battle would be around Deep Space Nine. We did not use the organized play scenario, but something similar, basically a planet in the middle, two small outposts on either side of them. That would be Jin Toka and the defense platforms, defense satellites, kind of inspired by the Destroy the Outpost scenario from the Balance of Terror episode, which also happens to be one of my favorite episodes of all time of Star Trek. Just putting that out there. Getting inspired by what I liked within the Star Trek narrative. It was a straight-up battle. The platforms would shoot at whoever was closest, and the winner of the scenario would be the defender in the final game. More about that in a second. The second to last game was dealing with the Cardassian Civil War. Basically, both sides were only allowed to use Cardassian ships. I kind of had to trick a little because I do not actually have a Dominion fleet, one of the few fleets that I really do not have any ships for, but I have a couple of Mirror Universe Gaylors, so I build a fleet around them. And very straightforward, very simple ship, a very simple game, nothing much on the battlefield, just to keep it very rules light, to be a nice contrast to everything that had come before, and to just blast at each other. Whoever won the game would gain a Gaylord class with photon torpedo upgrade for free in the final game. And of course, the final game was Deep Space Nine. The defender would have Deep Space Nine, and in this scenario, what we ended up with was that the Dominion controlled Deep Space Nine, or Terek Nor at that point, I should say. And in contrast, or to balance that out, I gained Klingon allies that I could send through the flanks later in the game, and the longer I had to put down at the beginning of the game at which turn my Klingon allies would appear, and the longer the Klingon allies took, the more bonus victory points I would get. But of course, I would risk having to face overwhelming force before the Klingons arrived. So the final game was very cool. I faced off against a lot of Dominion ships. They had brought a allied scimitar from the Romulans, and they had installed a cloaking device on Terek Nor, which was hilarious at that point. Overall, the campaign was a lot of fun. I played the Federation, and I lost most of the games, I have to say, which is kind of embarrassing because my opponent really was a pretty new player. But yeah, she did very well in the campaign, and she had a lot of fun doing it. Even though I ultimately lost, I had a lot of fun doing the whole games. We did videos on them. They are on YouTube, at least for the first half of the campaign. Sadly, they are A, in German, which will not help most of you, and B, I could not upload the second half of the campaign because of a external hard drive failure. But yes, very simple. Just come up with a few ideas for scenarios, come up with a few simple consequences. Try 3 games, for example, just to begin with, or maybe 4. Don't come up with your own scenarios, just pick out scenarios that come with the ships and bring them in a loose order, find reasons why you play them, try it out. It's still kind of competitive. Oh, also one thing that you might want to do is to vary the fleet sizes to fit the scenario that you're playing, just to get you out of that comfort zone of having the same point cost every single game and having, fielding the same ships every single game as well. Try it out. It's a lot of fun. If you do, let me know what you think, and let's see what I will come up with next time. Thanks for listening. Classic Core out.
Welcome to the Ready Room. I'm Daniel, and I'll be your host for this segment of the show. Hopefully everyone did well retrieving their small craft, and now are coming back here so we can discuss Cold War OP3. So I'm going to jump right into the rules. Setup. Place an objective token directly in the center of the play area. Then place 8 mission tokens in a stack beside the play area. The objective token represents Sphere 41. It is treated as a ship with the following stats: 2088. It will attack every ship within range 1 each round. It always attacks last. When it defends, if there's no scan token beside the attacking ship, the sphere rolls +4 defense dice. The entire play area is considered to be in a spatial anomaly. While in the anomaly, all ships have the following restriction. 1. Every round, during the planning phase, every ship must either discard 1 crew, upgrade 1 captain, or suffer 1 damage. 2. After performing a scan action, place an auxiliary power token beside your ship. 3. You may only spend target lock tokens to perform attacks with a secondary weapon. You cannot use them to reroll dice. 4. When attacking a ship with your primary weapon at range 1, you do not roll an extra attack die. 5. When attacking a ship with your primary weapon at range 2, the defending ship rolls +1 defense die. 6. When attacking a ship with your primary weapon at range 3, the defending ship rolls +2 defense dice. And 7. When attacking Sphere 41, you roll 1 less attack die unless there is a scan token beside your ship. In addition, during the end phase of every round, remove 1 mission token from the stack beside the play area from the game. When there are no more mission tokens in the stack, the game ends and all ships left in the play area are considered destroyed. If you destroy the sphere, then everything goes back to normal and there's no more penalties, and you don't have to follow any of those rules. The game ends when 1 player is eliminated, the time limit is reached, or the last mission token in the stack is removed. I like this event because it's a lot like Collective OP3, where you could work with your opponent to destroy the sphere, or an OP3, the Borg cube. However, this time you're not required to work with your opponent, which means you can fire on their ships while attacking the sphere. Keep in mind though that you only have 8 turns to destroy the sphere, plus all these penalties are happening where you're discarding crew or suffering a damage, so you're probably going to want to focus your firepower on the sphere first. For this event, I only have 2 strategies that I came up with. Number 1, the scan token strategy. This is based on the fact that you're really going to need scan tokens when attacking that sphere because you're going to want that extra attack die, plus it rolls +4 defense dice if you do not have a scan token. Plus, if you're planning on attacking your opponent during the anomaly, they're going to be rolling a lot of extra defense dice, even for range 2 is the +1, range 3 +2. For this, I actually came up with a basic ship build just to explain it better. Once again, this is just a basic 50-point ship. This is just to help you guys understand how the strategy works. So the ship is USS Prometheus. The captain will be Benjamin Sisko, the one that lets you re-roll a die. Your crew would be Pavel Chekhov, lets you get rid of an Ox token, Mr. Spock. The techs will be power relays and high energy sensor sweep. Basically, the idea behind it is that you could get a free scan each turn, and you can use this scan to negate the sphere's extra abilities. Then with Pavel Chekhov, you can clear it, the Ox token that you'll get, and with micropower relays, you can use your regular action to heal your ship for that damage that you'll suffer, unless you want to discard a crew, which I would not recommend. Then Sisko will help give quality to your dice and rerolls, and Mr. Spock, since you have a scan beside your ship, you'll be able to convert all battle stations into hits. Once again, this was just a basic design, just so you guys could understand the strategy behind the scan token idea. It not only helps with attacking the sphere, but after the sphere is destroyed, you could get other crew that make the ships roll -2 of 8 dice, and that way you could take advantage against your opponent. So the next strategy is also very simple. It's an alpha strike. Now I forgot to mention this at the start, but there's a bonus where you'll get +25 fleet points if you destroy the sphere. And in order to get rid of the anomaly, you have to destroy the sphere. For this list, you're going to need high skill captains and admirals and crew that boost their captain skill even higher. Really, all you need to do is get up there fast with your ships, have secondary weapons and cards that allow you to get extra attacks, and hit that sphere as fast as you can before your opponent even gets to look at it. Voyager with transphasic torpedoes, accompanied by a swarm of other ships with secondary weapons, just hitting that sphere as hard as you can and as fast as you can. Cheap ships with big weapons and good modifiers. For a secondary weapon, I recommend quantum torpedoes because when you hit the sphere, you're dealing extra damage to it. Well, there you have it. 2 simple strategies that are easy to use. Once again, I'm here just to give you an idea for the next event. You could go so much deeper into these 2 strategies, make them much bigger than they actually are. Please feel free to email me at tothereadyroom@gmail.com. I'd like to know what you guys think of this show. What do you like and don't like? What suggestions do you have? The strategy that I said, how did it work and not work for you? All the information will help me help you. Once again, it's tothereadyroom@gmail.com. Well, you have the ships, you have the cards, now make it so. I'll see you next month when we talk about the Void on To the Ready Room. End transmission.
Hello again, players, to the would-be-nices. this time we'll look at something that's a must-have due to high demand. I can't believe this ship still hasn't been announced. Despite, or maybe because of, its single next-gen appearance, it would be an instant collectible. Now there's your hint. Some of you have already guessed it. We'll be building our own Enterprise C. Since this will be the first Ambassador class in the game, it's interesting to design, because it's going to have to sit between the Excelsior and Galaxy classes. So I'm thinking a 26-point ship with 4 attack and evade, 4 hull, 4 shields, just like the Phoenix. In fact, same maneuver as a Nebula class. So better turning than an Excelsior, not as fast as a Galaxy. Standard fed action bar, forward rear 90 arcs, 3 crew, a tech, a WEP, generic drops a shield and crew. Ship text. Well, I think it should be a precursor to the 360s of the Enterprise D and Voyager. So, you may attack outside your forward firing arc at range 1 with your primary weapon at -1 attack dice with no range bonus. This text fits into the ship's theme, standing your ground surrounded by enemies, a theme that continues into her captain and upgrades. Captain Rachel Garrett, 5-point skill 7, elite talent fed unique. You may field any Federation elite talent for -1 SP, minimum of 2. If you're in the possible firing arc of more than one enemy ship at range 1, each time you defend this round, roll a total number of defense dice equal to the number of those ships. Key word there being possible. So if they can hit you with a dorsal, aft, 360, secondary weapon, whatever, you get an extra defense die. Basically, the more ships that can shoot at you, the more defense you get, even if they're not shooting at you. We'll need an elite talent for Garrett as well. Sacrifice, 4 points fed unique. If an enemy declares an attack against your ship, you may discard this card and your captain to cancel the attack. The enemy ship may not make any other attacks this round. Each time you defend this round, you may reroll any defense dice you want once. And a fitting talent for the ship, called Emergency Repairs. A steep 6-point fed unique, but for good reason. During the planning phase, you may discard this card to flip all critical damage cards and remove all disabled and time tokens from all upgrades. You may also place an auxiliary power token by your ship to repair 1 damaged shield. Basically, this is a reboot card, probably worth being a 6-point discard. Crew time. Richard Castillo, 3 points fed unique. Disable this card to add +1 to your primary weapon this round. If your captain is discarded, your ship's skill is 3. This card may field the Emergency Repairs elite talent. Good synergy here with the ship ability and using a captain with sacrifice. Tasha Yar, 4 points fed unique. I say fed here because I envision this as first season Tasha, to make up for getting Mirror Tasha on the Prakesh. You may disable this card to perform a target lock as a free action, even if the target ship is cloaked. Or, you may discard this card to prevent another crew upgrade from being disabled or discarded. If you do so, add +1 attack die to all of this ship's attacks this round. And how about a non-unique operations officer? During the modified defense die step, you may disable this card to reroll 1 blank defense die 1 time, even if it has already been rerolled. Or, during the modified defense die step, you may discard this card to reroll all blank defense dice 1 time, even if any have been rerolled. No ship may be equipped with more than 1 operations officer. And we have a tech, Emergency Power, 3 points fed non-unique. Disable this card to ignore 1 uncancelled damage to your shields, or discard this card to repair 1 damaged shield. You may also remove 1 auxiliary power token from beside your ship if there is one. No ship can be equipped with more than 1 emergency power card. Combine this with Emergency Repairs, and your ship is back in fighting form late in the game. Lastly, our weapon, Photon Torpedoes, 6 points, 4 attack, range 2 to 3. Attack. Spin your target lock and place 2 time tokens on this card. You may convert 1 battle stations to a critical. You may make this attack from your forward or your firing arcs. 2 time tokens means firing every other round, and I think that's worth the price. And that's our ship this time. I tried building synergy with the discards and primary weapon boosts, so go ahead and try it out, and let us know what you think and what you'd add or change. And until next time,
hi, this is Dave Griffin. Today we'll be talking about the mission Rebel Attack, which came with the ISS Avenger and recreates the Enterprise in a Mirror Darkly 2-part episode. The forces are essentially all mirror, but the Empire has 80 SP, including 1 Terran NX-class ship with Admiral Black assigned. It doesn't specifically say as captain, although that's implied. I would say you could also make him an admiral. And 1 ship as a reinforcement, so 2 ships total. The rebels have 100 SP, including no ship bigger than 26 SP, and that includes everything about it. The ship itself, the upgrades, and presumably resources. The setup is a 36 by 60 map, so a very long map. The Terran reinforcement ships on the north edge. There's an objective token 4 inches from the north edge and centered. The Terran NX class ship is centered on the south edge, and the rebels are in 2 4x12 strips on the southeast and southwest corners of the maps. Special rules are prior to the NX getting within range 3 of the objective token, it has 1 evade plus 1 additional evade token per enemy ship with the NX in its forward or 360 firing arc. If greater than or equal to 1 enemy is in its forward firing arc, it gets a free battle stations token. Although since it'll be running, it seems like that's not going to happen very much. Now, when the NX gets to range 3 of the objective token and activates the reinforcement ship, it loses its special defense tokens. Now, the objective on the Empire side is for the NX to exit on the north edge. Tactically, the NX exits on the north edge and the reinforcement ship exits any edge. Decisive, the NX exits the north, reinforcement exits any edge, and 1 rebel ship is destroyed. Now, the rebel victory conditions are kind of messed up. It says marginal, destroy the NX, tactical, destroy the NX, or the reinforcement ship, which includes the marginal. Essentially, if you get a marginal, you also get a tactical. And the decisive, destroy either ship before you're destroyed. Again, the victory conditions means if you get any kind of victory, you probably get every kind of victory. I'll talk about that later. Tactically, the Indy-Fed fleet captain makes the NX pretty much invincible because it's so fast, the rebel forces will never catch it. Forrest would probably do the same. A Picard maneuver might also do the same. So it's set up to sort of make the rebels just a little bit faster than the NX, but that has its own problems, as you'll see. The reason why is because chases are problematic in Star Trek Attack Wing because few ships can fire rearward continuously without incurring some kind of penalty. Really, the only ones who can do it are the Federation with their dorsal phaser arrays, or the Borg, or some other ship that can get a continuous 360. And as a result, you can't really whittle away at your attackers. So that means that all you can do is run. And if you can't actually outdistance your enemies, you're going to eventually be killed. Now, it seems like those evade tokens, if you had all 4 of your enemy ships able to fire at you during 1 turn, you would get 5 evade tokens, extra evade tokens. You could conceivably put your own out there and get 6. That seems unassailable, but in fact, if you have 4 ships with 3-ish attack die firing at you, the truth is they're going to whittle those tokens away. And remember, you only got 3 hull in the NX class and no shields. All you have is your hull plating, which you can only use once per turn. So it seems invincible, but in fact it's not. What generally happens in this mission is that the NX, if they're smart about how they maneuver, end up managing to avoid the alpha strike of the rebels until he gets pretty near the objective token and then gets destroyed. So I'll talk a little bit about what we might do about that. Also, in practice, the reinforcement ship, which only gets activated when you get within range 1 to 3 of the token, and even then only is able to fire, not move on the first turn, the reinforcement ship is effectively meaningless. It rarely comes into the mission, and when it does, it doesn't have any material effect. Now, the NX does maneuver well, but it just doesn't go fast. It has a maximum speed of 3. So if both players are competent, the rebel players are going to win at least 70% of the time. In order to win, the NX needs quite a lot of luck. In regards to the win conditions, I don't know exactly what the win conditions should be for the rebels, but I'm guessing it should be something like marginal, destroy the NX without the reinforcement ship activated, or tactical, destroy the NX after activation and the reinforcement ship. maybe decisive, destroy both ships and lose no more than one of your own ships. I mean, that would be my guess at what those conditions might be. Now, possible mission remedies. If you don't want essentially a Kobayashi Maru-like scenario where you give the really strong player the NX and challenge him to win, which is a perfectly fine way of doing it. But if you want a more even scenario, here are some possibilities. One, you can put the reinforcement ship on the mission token. That's a really minor change, but it means on the turn that it's actually activated, might be able to get a good shot at the rebels. A second one is to put the NX 4 inches closer to north. That's about the same as number one. If you do both of them, that helps a little bit, might get the reinforcement ship actually in on the battle, but it's probably not going to affect the odds much. Another possibility is to release the reinforcement ship on turn one. Let it do whatever it wants, move, fire, whatever it wants. If you do that, then you're going to have to change those revised victory conditions so that rather than without the reinforcement ship activated, without the reinforcement ship firing for the first time or something like that. Another possibility you could do is use a very unthematic ship for reinforcement and release it on turn one. If you do that, then the unthematic ship, which might go much faster than, say, the ISS Enterprise might, is going to get to the battle much sooner and make it much easier for the NX to survive. Now, keep in mind that the NX side still has 80 points to 100, so it's not as if having the reinforcement ship get there sooner is really going to make the difference. And as soon as the reinforcement ship was either within range 3 or fires for the first time, then you can lose it its evade tokens. Anyway, I like this scenario, even with its flaws. I would rate it as a 3.5 stars. It should be less with the flaws it has, but I have a kind of a fondness for the Kobayashi Maru scenario. So if you like that kind of game, then give your strongest player the NX and see where he goes. If you don't like that kind of game, I would release the reinforcement ship on turn one. I think you'll get a more even match if you do that. So have fun with this, and I'll see you next week.
And now it's time for the Warp Core Breach Question of the Week, where we pose your questions to all of the contributors in the hopes that someone will get it right. This week's Question of the Week: what is your Star Trek Attack Wing goal this year? And what was your greatest achievement in 2015? Yes, a bonus question this week.
Bazinga.
Or 2 for the price of 1. And since you're not paying for this, well, it's 2 for free.
30 minutes or it's free. Oh wait, it's already free.
And it's already been 30 minutes.
And we promise it won't take another 30 minutes for this segment.
Yeah, there you go.
So, David, let me start by asking you, what was your greatest achievement in Star Trek Attack Wing last year?
See, it's hard to pick, right? I have this podcast, and if I don't pick this podcast, it feels like I'm ignoring such an important thing.
True that.
But I also have the shipyard, and if I don't say the shipyard, it feels like I'm ignoring such an important thing.
But they are part and parcel.
They are. And of course, becoming the preview guy for WizKids.
Hey now.
Is a truly big thing. But more important than any of that, and I do mean this seriously, is watching my local venue grow in Star Trek Attack Wing. This time last year, we had 3 regular players. And 2015 ended with 6.
Not bad.
So, in the span of a year, we doubled. And we have more occasional players, guys that'll show up for something here and there. But there are 6 people who show up just about every single time. And to me, that shows a big change, and that's a big achievement to me.
Yeah, and I can't help but mirror your sentiment, because that's pretty much where our group was sitting around the 3 regular mark, Steve and Jason and myself. And we've gotten to the 5 and 6 mark for our more consistent players and attendees. And like you, we have our irregulars that show up when they can. And every once in a while, it'll bump us up around the 11 mark.
Which is totally awesome.
No kidding. Just need to psych them up for the OPs and get them rolling in.
Yeah, and that's the other thing, right? Is some of those OPs are awesome and they'll attract more people than others.
Mm-hmm.
And some won't. And that's going to be the ebb and flow. And sometimes you just schedule it on a bad day and whatnot. And things change. But,
yeah,
it's nice to have consistency.
I would like to have the OPs be more accessible because I find that they do tend to intimidate newer players because they expect fierce competition, and being new players, they don't feel that they're up to snuff. And one thing I can say to all of you out there that have been hesitating to join your first OP event is there is always a possibility you will not only do well, but possibly even come away with a prize. Because when you get the prize kit, there's usually 3 prizes in there. 1 for the host, that's for your tournament organizer, 1 for your first place, and 1 for the red shirt. Now, the host doesn't always take a prize, so sometimes there's 3 to be given away to the players, so that's an added bonus. And the red shirt can vary. Sometimes they'll give it to the last ranked player. Sometimes, like myself, we'll give it to the MVP of the night. Mr. or Miss Congeniality of sorts. So even just showing up and playing, you're going to learn a lot, and you're going to have a chance at winning a prize no matter how well you do.
Well, and something I've taken to is giving away the ship to some kind of mission objective.
Yeah.
Tying the scenario into how we give away a ship.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to ignore it, that's fine, but then your only chance of winning a ship is first place.
Exactly. And that's one thing that I've actually been planning on doing once we get our OP attendees up to the right level, is I'll be giving up my prize ship, the one for hosting, to the most thematic build or the most thematic player based on the scenario. So just added incentive in that way to try to actually make the scenario work the way it was intended, or the way we assume it was intended.
Right. I mean, at some point you can only take what you're given in the rule book and say, hey, this is the best we got, let's go with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so that's starting to talk about goals for 2016. And I think we can probably both agree that we want to grow our venues, and I think most people would say that that's a goal. Continued growth of the game and keeping the players that you have invested in the game while continuing to keep it fun.
Mm-hmm.
But taking a step aside from that, are there any other goals that you have specifically for you in 2016?
Well, for me as a tournament organizer, my goal will always be to build, support, and grow the group. For me as a player, I want to step out of my comfort zone with the combos and themes that I've generally been relying on, and I want to try things a little more exciting, a little different, and I've started to do that already, so I want to continue down that path, and with the support of quality wave releases, that can only get even better.
Yeah, I'm with you. You know, the new ships that are coming out are definitely thematic. They may not be the best for competition, but you can certainly look at them and go, hey, I see where they were trying to go with that. And that makes a lot of sense with the Star Trek knowledge that I have.
Yeah.
So. Yeah,
for me, it isn't just about thematic or uber killer most amazing cards. I just want playable cards that aren't overcosted, they aren't underfunctional, ones that are just worthy enough to put in a build so I can have some variety, some options to just try something different, you know?
I think we all want variety.
Mm-hmm.
And to be able to just try something for the sake of trying it sometimes, and to be surprised by it.
Mm-hmm. And I would greatly appreciate more consistency with upcoming releases, so that there has a bit of a contrasted balance between costs and abilities, so that the game feels like it's expanding from somewhere instead of just going off in random directions. So the other goal for the year would be to find a way to work with WizKids as a community to help them make the game better in a supportive way that does not put them down, because there are a lot of people out there that may react that way, but just a way to encourage them to say, hey, we still love this game. We want more. So as you bring it to us, let's have a great time with it. Let's make it good and make it work.
Yeah, I can be completely on board with that sentiment.
Mm-hmm. I would like to see the informal ruling council not need to exist.
Yeah, I would too. I would like to not need to have that job.
Exactly.
So for me, I want to pull off California regionals.
Nice.
That's going to be a big undertaking.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not playing. I'm judging it and organizing it and trying to make that event as awesome as I possibly can for everybody who's going to be there. But pulling that off is going to be a big job. And
indeed.
Hopefully, everybody who comes will leave there having had enjoyed themselves and feeling like they had the best possible experience that they could have. Obviously, only one person's going to walk out of there a winner, but that's not the end goal for everyone. We're gonna, hopefully a lot of people are going to go there and be able to meet people that they've only seen online and hang out and get to know people and have a good time playing Star Trek Attack Wing.
Hear, hear.
I think another goal for me is to continue to be a person in the community who tries to find some of the good and doesn't get caught up in all of the negative. It's really easy to find the negative and latch on and pile on with the negative. But I'd like to kind of step away from that. And, be able to put out reviews and thoughts that highlight the good and the bad.
Constructive.
Yeah. And there you go. That's the word. I want to be a constructive voice rather than a destructive voice.
It's like Lego, they're weapons of mass construction.
Yes. And I hope that I've been that mostly, but I want to continue to do that, and I want to do it better.
Well, you've got my support, good man.
I want to continue with the campaign that I'm doing. I want that to be an awesome thing. I want people to have fun with that. I want Warp Core Breach to continue to grow and be a huge thing that people are on board with and loving and looking forward to, because we sure have a lot of fun putting it together.
Absolutely.
And I just, there's so many other things, and I could go on for a long time, but I want people to enjoy this and remember that it's a game. And yes, it can be competitive, and it can be casual, and it can be story driven, and it can be not, and it can be whatever you want it to be. But I want people to be able to have fun with it, because no matter how you enjoy it, it's fun. So I guess my ultimate goal with this is to continue to have fun with Star Trek Attack Wing.
Hi everyone, Not Picard here from the Faction Report, and my goal for the next year in Attack Wing for the next year is to have fun. I want to be able to take fleets to OP events that are interesting, that are perhaps not the most competitive fleets in the world, but certainly things that are fun to play with and fun to play against, more than playing the fleets that are just designed to crush your opponent. So I'd say that was my target, that was my goal for the next year. My best event or best achievement from last year, I think, playing the Q OP series, having won OP1 and OP2, and being in a position that I was basically guaranteed to win the grand prize for OP3, being able to take a Bajoran pure fleet for OP3 and not having to worry about how badly it would perform was my most fun moment, most memorable moment of last year. As much as being asked to be involved with this podcast was a great achievement. But anyway, it's been a great year for me in Attack Wing. I hope it's been a great year for you. Long may it continue.
Hey guys, this is Daniel from To the Ready Room, and my greatest achievement last year was probably winning my first OP event, which was the Collective OP3. My goal for this year is not winning more events and things like that, but actually trying to help build my community and make it a better place, to invite more people to get into the Star Trek Attack Wing game, because it's such a great game, brings people together, because half the game is just the community and the memories that you make during it. So that'll be my goal, to help the community and make some more good memories on the way.
Hello again, players. My biggest achievement last year came as a total surprise. Q Continuum Month 2, the one with the moon and the mission tokens, was the first OP I ever went 3-0, with each match being a fun combination of maneuvering, attacking, and gathering tokens. It was a really fun and intense event. And Q Continuum was the first tournament I ever won, and I believe it came down to the last match. So my goals for next year are the same. Go 3-0 in an event and win a tournament. They don't have to be the same one this time. I just want to make sure our venue stays interesting and grab a bunch of glory for myself.
Hi, this is Dave Griffin. What is my best achievement for last year, and what, if anything, is my goal for next year for Star Trek Attack Wing? I would say my greatest achievement of last year was that the year previous at a local convention I learned Attack Wing, and I played a very good player who was very experienced. And he beat me inside of about 15 minutes. I couldn't maneuver properly, and I didn't stand a chance against an experienced player. And I came back the next year and managed to beat him and go on to win the OP at the convention. Now, granted, we're talking a relatively small number of people, and a lot of them were learning just like I had been. But I thought beating that one very good player was a significant milestone for me. As far as my goal for the coming year, I'm really not anywhere near able to play OPs. There's only one store that might still be running OPs, and it's a long way off, and there's some logistical problems for my going there. So I'm really just playing casually. So I'd guess my goal is to just continue to have fun over the next year, and if the game survives, if it's still alive at the end of next year, I will consider that goal made. Thanks a lot.
Hello, this is Stephen Stott with Ready to Play Gaming down in Columbia, South Carolina. What am I looking forward to for my goals for next year in STAW? Well, I love theme builds, so I'm going to concentrate on making my theme builds more competitive in different OP events, experimenting with different ideas. But that's what I'm looking forward to. As of last year, I closed out looking pretty good with the Temple Cold War events. I'm on top at our local games store. So in January, we close out with OP3, so I'm definitely hoping to win that one and have one completed OP series under my belt. That'll be the first time I've been able to do that, although I've been, fairly successful. Anyway, that's all I have for now. Good luck to everybody out there playing, and hope all your dice rolls are hits and all your evade rolls are evades. Live long and prosper.
Kapla, Happy New Year and all that. John Knopp here. My Star Trek Attack Wing goal for 2016 is to produce a segment for Warp Core Breach, hopefully monthly, that focuses on faction peer play and faction peer strategies. A lot of times when I talk about faction peer, around here anyways, unless it's at my venue, it's deemed as like lesser than or a watered down version of Star Trek Attack Wing. But restricting your build to faction peer, for me, has made it a more fun and complex game and not an easier one. Reflecting back on 2015, I would say my favorite memory experience with the game was the Balance of Terror OP. I played the Ferengi, and it was probably the best game I've had with Ferengi ever. Yes, it was faction pure. Some of their upgrades are a little more expensive, elite talent-wise. Quark's Treasure had come out, so Smuggler was great. Using their EMP pulse to restrict what my opponent could choose, so I knew, they're going to need to do a green maneuver, so awesome. I'm going to guess that it's one of the 2 green maneuvers, and since you don't want to fly off the map, it's this one. Sabotage also added to the effect, allowing my Ferengi to live a little longer. Subtracting attack dice was hugely beneficial. And that, in review, is my Star Trek Attack Wing 2015 favorite moment.
Hello everybody, Innkeeper here from the Wandering Inn Studios. What was our goal for 2015? Well, it was our first full year with the rules, so kind of getting used to the rules was our major goal, and I think we successfully did it on the most part. There's a few rules here and there that seem to squeak past on us, but for the most part, gotta keep them rules in check, and I think we've done a very good job with that. What is my Star Trek Attack Wing goal for this year? I think I'm going to keep up in 2016 what we've been doing all along, just making entertaining battle report narrative campaigns for the fans to enjoy, and hopefully they keep on watching.
Hey everyone, it's Natasha from Dude, It's Just a Game. My proudest moment in Star Trek Attack Wing this year, 2015, was when I played in the Year of Hell OP tournament. For the first time ever, I went 3-0, and I had a lot of really strong competition. It was definitely a fight, but what makes me really proud of that OP is that I came up with my fleet and with the winning strategy completely by myself with no assistance from anyone. And so that was a moment that I really felt like I grasped some really good concepts, not only in the game, but in that organized play event. My goal for 2016 will be to play more unusual cards, to kind of get out of the rut of the same ships and same captains, and to start exploring and doing some fun stuff. There's some really great cards out there that I'm really excited to interact with and play more, not only in tournaments, but also in the campaign that we've started. So you can look forward to those kinds of things from me this year. Thanks everyone for listening, and see you next time.
So since it's the start of the new year, let's look ahead to what we know in terms of ships coming out. We have Wave 22 in the pipeline for January. But everything that's been announced, and that's through Wave 27 in June, we have names of a few ships coming for at least the OPs through like June or so. We don't actually know what ships are coming in the movie series, but people can kind of guess. What are you looking forward to?
I myself am looking forward to at least one ship from each wave. Like, we've got so many different things coming. There's a lot of Romulan presence. Klingons are getting some more. Federation are making a bit of a comeback. So there's a lot coming up ahead. I'm looking forward to the all good things concept of finding the loose threads and weaving them into an interesting tapestry of Trek. And we're going to be seeing Xindi retail releases. We're going to be getting more independent things that are going to be giving us a little more to think about.
Oh, that is a good point. I myself am looking forward to seeing how they incorporate the the prize ships and the notion that there aren't models with some of them, and seeing where that goes. Because I think that's potentially a slippery slope.
Yeah, given that the draw for OPs is often a new ship.
Yeah, or the candy, the shiny.
The prize at the bottom of the Cracker Jack box.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think of everything that's out, I want to see what they do with the USS Cairo. That's the Tin Man OP in, June, but will probably end up being July.
Yeah.
It's an Excelsior, which probably means that it's not going to be a sculpt.
Model.
But, upgrades for an Excelsior, we'll see. And we know for a fact it's another big TNG era Excelsior, so maybe we get an Excelsior refit.
Hey, there's always the possibility of a Relic Scotty.
Yeah. Although that may come sooner. That could even potentially be on the Einstein.
Ooh, that is so true. Speaking of Relic Scotty, Janolan. Dream card.
Yeah. There's just so much good stuff that's out. And we know the one big ship we're getting already with that Borg cube.
And Sphere.
Yes. Be interested to see if they put another one out.
Yeah.
They did it in 2014. They had DS9 and the Borg cube. And then 2015 gave us the Xindi weapon, although that's now technically a 2016 release. But it was a planned 2015. So, what's out there? Who knows?
Second start of the right, straight on till morning.
10,
Let's see what's
9,
out there.
8.
And on that note,
7,
I think we're going to call it
6, 5, 4.
So until next time.
This is Nick.
3.
And this is David.
2.
Ejecting
1.
the core.
Warp core ejected.
Warp Core Breach is produced by Nick Norris and David Montgomery, with additional content from our contributors. Our computer is voiced by Corinne Donnelly.
Warp Core Breach is not endorsed, sponsored, or affiliated with CBS Studios Incorporated or the Star Trek franchise. All Star Trek trademarks and logos are owned by CBS Studios Incorporated.
All sound files are used under Creative Commons 3.0 by attribution. For specifics, please visit our Facebook page by searching Warp Core Breach Podcast. If you want to contribute to the show, let us know on the Facebook page, or you can email us at warpcorebreachpodcast@gmail.com.
And stop.